It's Fightful's The Hump with
Jimmy Van
and
Sean Ross Sapp.
Fightful.com. Yeah.
what's up, you guys? Welcome to Fightful. I'm Sean Ross Sapp. It's July 30th, 2025. We got Jimmy Van here. It's The Hump. What's up, Jimmy?
Not much, bud. How you doing? We were talking off the air. You're getting ready to travel to SummerSlam, Newark, or wherever the hell you're going. So I'm sure that'll be fun.
I'm very excited to be back home. Friday is I'll highlight to people the trek I'm making, and people from New York will understand how stupid I am for it. I am driving from Cincinnati or Lexington to Cincinnati to catch a flight to LaGuardia Thursday. I should have picked Newark, but too late. Too late unless you want to eat the cost of a $500 plane ticket, Jimmy. Don't think you do. So I go to LaGuardia. I was going to rent a car. I will not do counter check-in after LA ever again. Never, ever, never. Took me 4 hours. So the only ones with online check-in were so expensive that I was like, well, if I'm going to spend that much, I'm just going to have somebody else drive me there. Like I'll take an Uber or a taxi or the public transit or whatever that might be. Like I'm not going to do that. I'm going to, I'm not going to say the city name because then you'll have weirdos knowing where we're doing media at, and they'll probably creep on a hotel, but it's like an hour away from New York. It's quite a bit away. I'm getting a hotel for one night there, waking up that morning, checking out, doing the junket, taking an Uber from that place to Newark to do some of the WrestleCon media or just visit, talk to people. I do a lot of good business at WrestleCon. So then catching a train, Uber, taxi back to LaGuardia for a Friday night flight in the middle of rush hour traffic. That should be fun. And then landing back in Lexington, Kentucky, Friday night. I always have people say, well, why don't you stay for the shows? Most of the money for us to be made isn't at those shows. And especially if it's like a big stadium show, it's hard to get like shorts for our YouTube because the videos are so far out and all that stuff. Otherwise, those do pretty good business, but I like watching from home, Jimmy. This is going to be a trip.
Why didn't you fly into Newark? Like, isn't it usually cheaper to fly into Newark as opposed to LaGuardia?
It wasn't
really.
Yeah, it wasn't at the time. And
I used to go to New York twice a year for business, and I haven't been in a while, but I always flew into Newark every time, and then we just drive to New York.
And LaGuardia wasn't so bad. JFK was really bad when I was there. But, I mean, listen, if I could change my flight to Newark right now for the arrival, I would.
You know who I shared a flight once with at a Newark?
Who's that?
So there's a small airline out of Toronto called Porter Airlines that flies into Newark. And one time I shared a flight with Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank because he's from Toronto. And there's a Canadian version of Shark Tank called Dragon's Den, which originated in the UK. So he was on the flight, and when we landed in Newark, me and the guys I was with, we were curious just to talk to him, and we said to him, you know, we got to say we're kind of surprised, like you're this big businessman, billionaire guy, and you're taking Porter, cheap airline, and he goes, honestly, I can get to New York so much faster this way. And he was basically, common sense about it. But so there you go.
Yeah, like I'm still looking at some of the flights like through there, and I'm just like, I'm still not opposed to trying to cancel my flight that goes to LGA and just somebody says, Jimmy, consider expensing limo service for SRS. He has before. Jimmy absolutely takes care of me when I'm in Toronto and stuff.
I take care of him.
He does. No. So let's tell the story. By the way, guys, get your super chats, get your humper chats in. We greatly appreciate that. We're going to talk about Hulk Hogan today. We're going to talk about Brooke Hogan today. Vince McMahon, his crazy ass driving, and WWE Unreal. But let's talk about when you first brought me to Toronto, because like I was not a traveling guy, period. Like I don't really like to travel that much. I'm thankful that I get to, but before this job, I had been on a plane one time, and now it's been like 50 times. But when I was younger, Toronto had the cool new stadium. The Blue Jays were cool. Like I always looked at Toronto and was like, that seems like a place I would like to go. And then just so happens we did business here. Jimmy is, and I want to say this, the most down-to-earth person that has been as successful in business as I've ever seen in my life. If you met Jimmy, you would have no idea the resources of which he has earned. He brings me and my wife into Toronto, and we are both from trailers in Kentucky. That's where we grew up. I grew up in the urban area of a suburban rural area, and she grew up in the woods. We go to Toronto, and Jimmy always booked us in these 5-star hotels. And I felt like Kevin McAllister in Home Alone 2. I was
We're eating big chocolate chip cookies there, Sean.
They knew I didn't belong there, Jimmy. They were about to tell me your stolen credit card. I was tipping the doorman with zebra gum and all kinds of stuff. But they knew I wasn't supposed to be there. But after a while, I think after 2 or 3 trips, I was like, Jimmy, I appreciate the hospitality. I appreciate this, but don't book me in 5-star hotels anymore. And you were like, why? Why wouldn't you do that? And I'm like, Jimmy, because I still got to put my card on this. And they assume you are so rich that you don't need a microwave or a fridge in your room. And I am not that rich. So 4 is fine. I will say I do stay at a nice place when I go to Toronto, right next to Scotiabank. I love that. That's pretty cool. But I did get to see some very, very nice, fine things. Somebody says, you showed them like pretty one. I caught that movie on TV once, Jimmy, and I was astounded at how ridiculous it was. Like, at how stupid. This movie is so condescending.
How many fictional movies are true to life? Really?
Jimmy, I just want to say there was a spot in that movie that I saw on TV, and I knew I was never going to watch the full thing. And it's when Julia Roberts is in the bathroom and he thinks like she's got drugs or something.
Yeah.
And it's floss. She didn't want him to see her floss. And like in my head, that Richard Gere's character, he looked at her and he goes, that's adorable. This whore flosses. I was like, what?
I don't know if people
First
like
off,
you using that
why
word
is he
anymore.
doing
I don't know.
that? If he's so surprised that this woman is flossing, taking care of her dental oral health, why is he getting some oral care from that woman? You know what I'm saying?
For me, the thing that I always thought was silly about that movie was that when he picked her up, she had a little blonde wig on. When she was so much more attractive, like stunningly beautiful with her regular hair. And I just remember seeing that thinking, what?
Maybe it was like an identity thing. She didn't want people to recognize
maybe, but like I remember there's a scene where like the next day she looks at him and she goes red as if she was embarrassed. And it's like, are you serious? She's so much more attractive.
You know? We're sitting here breaking down movie sex worker psychology here. We did have a thing called WWE Unreal that dropped this week, Jimmy. And I got to be real. I got to be honest. Like, I wouldn't say I had anxiety over it. I was just like, I have been the subject of them stretching the truth a number of times. And even then, not just me, like Dave and Mike with the Alexa Bliss thing that they absolutely nailed earlier this year. They were subject of not only WWE stretching the truth, but trying to dunk on them on Twitter. And then Alexa Bliss comes through and says, oh, yeah, well, by the way, that was all actually true, what Dave and Mike had reported. So I did not have a lot of high hopes for this. I have a very low bar for enjoying wrestling content like this. And I'll give you an example. My wife and I went to the Capital Cities Museum the other day in Frankfurt and went to the Miss Elizabeth exhibit. I showed you some of the pictures.
Yep.
And after that, she was like, hey, let's watch this Randy Savage bio from A&E. And it was like a combination. I haven't really watched a lot of those. They added a lot of new stuff, but they took a lot of the best stuff from the WWE documentary. But there were things in it, Jimmy, and I know you've seen this as they WWE wash things, where Jerry Lawler claimed that Vince McMahon had no idea that Randy Savage was going to WCW until somebody said, Vince, turn on the TV.
Right.
He's not going to be here at this show. Well, first off, WCW didn't have a Monday night show at that point. And he announced on TV
that Randy was leaving.
Savage was leaving a month before Savage showed up.
Yep.
So there are things like that. There weren't a lot of things like that that happened in this show, and we have a full story up on FightfulSelect.com. I will reveal a thing in a moment that was sort of constructed for that. But what were your immediate thoughts watching that, as we do have some super chats and humper chats?
Did you ever hear about why Savage never came back to WWE? Before I get to Unreal, did you ever hear the rumor as to why Savage didn't return to WWE?
I mean, I hope it's not the salacious rumor.
Yeah,
that I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that bullshit.
Well, he's the one legend that never went back, you know?
Sure.
So when it comes to Unreal, so I've only seen 2 episodes so far because I just don't have a lot of time for TV. So I've seen 2 episodes. To me, and I want to ask you in a minute for your opinion on this. To me, there's nothing earth-shattering in there. And I don't know why people online are saying that it's so groundbreaking, because we've seen documentaries before, like Beyond the Mat and Wrestling with Shadows, which took you behind the scenes of WWE during the Attitude Era. I mean, they had Mick Foley and The Rock, who were rivals on TV, showing them putting their matches together and everything. But aside from that, WWE's released a ton of documentaries on Peacock and an A&E that went behind the scenes, like the Making of WrestleMania documentaries. So the only thing to me that was different from the first 2 episodes, because I've only seen the first 2 episodes, was you're in the writer's room. You know, they show you the process that the agents go through. Everybody was asked their legal government name, which was a little bit different. That was really it. And so my first question for you is, why am I seeing this discourse online like this is such an earth series when I've seen all this shit? Like, this is nothing new, really, except it's this generation as opposed to.
I wouldn't minimize it to that level. There are certainly things that I haven't seen before. And I had a good friend, Dave LaGreca, called me, and he's like, "What do you think about this?" Because he's a little more old school than me. And I had to explain to him, I'm going to be biased in this situation because, quite frankly, they reaffirmed a hell of a lot of my reporting in this. But I enjoy wrestling in a much different way, and that's a conversation that you and I had yesterday. If I didn't cover wrestling, I would not be able to keep up with wrestling. If it wasn't my job, I would still watch it. I love wrestling, but I would not be able to keep up with all that goes on. In this situation, it's a lot of things that I report on, and I'm reporting, and I hear about it, and I write about it, and I get messages about it. But like, if somebody says this happened in Gorilla, they're also not like holding their phone up and taking a picture of what Abyss is doing or what Triple H is doing. They wouldn't be caught dead doing that. That's why when like some scoopster insiders come along and say they work for WWE and they're in Gorilla, I'm like, buddy, you do not have your phone out texting people while the show is going out. While Gorilla is, you just don't do that. It's not a thing. I enjoy wrestling in a much different way. And there were certainly a lot of elements to this that, even if it wasn't necessarily groundbreaking or new, they peeled it back way more.
Like what? Give me examples.
Like, for example, Triple H, Ed Koski, and Nick Khan being the only 3 people besides the performers involved who knew that the Rock heel turn was coming, or that the Cena heel turn was coming. You saw live in the truck as they were being instructed by Triple H, which a producer there said, we knew that something was going on at that point. We just didn't know what was going on. And I can tell you, as a guy who was looped in on a lot of this stuff, there was not a peep about a John Cena heel turn around the city, around the building. They did a phenomenal job keeping that a secret. And that's their job, right? It's my job to find out. It's their job to keep it secret. But they did a great job. Michael Cole comes out and talks to Triple H, and he's like, I had no idea, had no clue what was going on there. That type of thing is pretty new. Like we have.
So are you saying it's new that they were able to keep it such a secret? Is that you're saying?
No, that they showed us the process of them doing that and highlighted that. Also inside the writer's room to that degree. Like, I've talked to dozens of writers over the years. Very rarely do I see inside the writer's room. And I thought it was really fascinating to see how sometimes they're on Zoom, sometimes that they're there, sometimes it's a skeleton crew, sometimes it's the full crew. You see the individual writers like Alexandra Williams, who does a lot of CM Punk stuff. Jimmy, without going too much into detail, you saw firsthand this week just how scripted WWE promos are.
Yeah.
Including people like Paul Heyman and CM Punk, of which you would assume have bullet points.
Yep.
And no, it is scripted down to the and
I was actually disappointed to see that, quite frankly. I was.
Sure.
So, because one thing that you and I have spoken about off camera is how corporate WWE feels. And I thought Hunter was going to do away with that. So I was surprised to see Paul Heyman, especially. I was surprised to see how scripted it was. But I want to ask you a couple other things about Unreal. So another piece of discourse that I saw online, because again, I've only seen 2 episodes, and as soon as this thing came out, Sean, it was all over Twitter. Clips were all over Twitter as soon as it came out. So,
oh yeah, which by the way, I want to specify, WWE was thrilled about that.
Oh, I'm sure because it's been dominating the news. I'm sure
created so much buzz. I mean, it was from a content direction standpoint and what we do. There was so much of it that was newsworthy.
Yeah,
because and I will say this, there was a lot of back padding in that. Like half the show was them dropping F-bombs, which they joked about to me. That, like, good God, couldn't believe that they did that. They'll probably clean that up if they do a season 2. But 2, it is a lot of putting another person over and be like Triple H saying, "I believe in you. You're great." There was a ton of that too.
I mean, I did hear a lot of audio from the Tony Hinchcliffe thing. And Hunter was dropping a lot of F-bombs, and who cares? Like, that doesn't really bother me. But there's another piece.
I don't care about that. It's just people that were around it were like, we thought that maybe he would clean it up a little bit, but that's just how he talks. It's not malicious or anything.
Yeah. So another piece of discourse I saw online was, Unreal is a work. Everything is staged.
Nope.
Because I was going to say, so I've only seen 2 episodes, but the stuff that I saw felt genuine, and especially like Rhea Ripley before the Raw debut on Netflix, she's got anxiety, and Hunter's going to her, telling her, like, you're a fucking rock star. Like, don't overthink it. I saw all that and I thought that seemed pretty authentic. And Joseph Park, dude, if there's one takeaway I have from the first 2 episodes, Joseph Park, that did not look like fun to me. He wasn't having a good time. It didn't look like.
No, he's the most lovely dude. It's wild how he was able to play one of the most vicious people in pro wrestling.
Yes, because he's very emotional, that guy. Yeah.
That's how he is. They are so lucky to have him. They are so lucky to have a guy like that who cares about that. But
it made you kind of want to punch Bruce Pritchard in the face a little bit. He was kind of like the heel in that one. Because Park, and you know what? Props to William Regal. Props to William Regal, because William Regal was right there, kind of pulling him down off the ledge a little bit,
And but you got to have a guy. You got to have a guy like Bruce Pritchard that does that. You got to have a bad cop, so to speak.
Sure. Especially when you got to hit your time cues. I get that.
I mean, like on the writing team, Jeremy Lambert became director of content here. There's sometimes he's got to go to people and say, "Get your numbers up, get your shit up, buddy. Take care of this." So there's some elements that I want to talk about because we're going to spend some good time on this. But FightfulSelect.com, best $5.99 a month in the business. Right now, we have news on, first off, TNA contract news every day this week, but we have a full report on a lot of stuff about Unreal. Like, it's an extensive report. I have since added the ability to purchase individual posts if you don't subscribe. So that is the thing. And we have details behind Vince McMahon's car wreck. But Dave Koss said, this will sound dramatic, but to me, this docuseries is a tentpole event in pro wrestling history. Kayfabe is dead, not just to hardcores who already knew, but some casuals who consume this show. He says, the new Kayfabe will emerge from this and how they navigate what we see and we don't see and the stories that play off of it. It has made me lean into the Rollins cash in at SummerSlam because what an episode of Unreal that will be. And then he also said, by the way, so we're going to spend a lot of time on what Dave Koss said because that man just donated a lot. Said, found myself curious throughout the show how you, Sean, viewed it. Feel there were some intricacies of backstage you would love, but also some layout of story arcs turning you off. Thumbs up or thumbs down. He says Punk's arc on the show was as good as it gets. I know there are fans who won't believe a word. He had a spray bottle off camera to fake those tears. They'll say it, but I feel it's been genuine and cathartic 2025 for him. Dave Koss, I appreciate you so much.
Wow, very generous, man.
For a while, says the producer's role was specifically mesmerizing. From Hayes to TJ to Rude to Park to Jordan. Phenomenal insights to matches, cues, time restraints, the elation, the anger, the anxiety of that role. Well, let me tell you, buddy, you gave me anxiety because I have to get to an ad break, and then we're going to spend some good time on this. So check out our friends NordVPN. There are so many reasons to check out nordvpn.com/Fightful. Let's go through a ton of them. Works on all operating systems and devices, even your router. Protect yourself on public Wi-Fi. Shield your data from snoops and criminals. Add extra layers of digital security to your life with the password manager, the file encryption tool, the Threat Protection Pro. It's the fastest VPN in the world. They've got a global server network, 24/7 tech support. And if you're a wrestling fan, oh man, are you in for it? All of the programs that WWE runs, you can watch with one Netflix account with nordvpn.com/Fightful. You can get pay-per-views at a much more affordable price. This service pays for itself in the money that you are going to save. nordvpn.com/Fightful. Okay, Dave Cost, first off, thank you. Thank you so much. In fact, my God, this nut, I love him. He said, to add to my new kayfabe, for example, they show us Tiffany going off script. Yeah. They show Triple H is pissed. They show she has to apologize, but they don't show the apology. It's open-ended. That's the hook. It's sneaky brilliant. So
he's
Dave,
actually right about that. He's right about that.
Yes. So Dave basically earned you guys a full look at my report that's on Fightful Select. Because if you're here watching, I'll talk a lot about this. My God, he sent another one. I found myself numerous times saying we should absolutely not be seeing this, yet fascinated that we were. There will certainly be some purist fans who are furious, saddened by this show. And I understand that because a lot of that, Jimmy, does make people think that they know everything that goes on and how it works. I can tell you as someone who covers pro wrestling, there are a lot of wrestlers and people in the business that are surprised when I ask things because they're like, well, you could have assumed that. And I said, no, I'm not allowed to assume that. That's what people who don't last in my line of work do. They assume things. I don't want to do that. I have to ask somebody. I have to get it from somebody. I can't watch on screen and say, well, they definitely do this. I can go on my review show and say, I think that's what they did. But there is a major difference in reporting objective news and reviewing subjective programming. This, Jimmy, and it's a conversation I had with Dave LaGreca yesterday, there's going to be a lot of people that say we shouldn't see this. But what adult thinks this is real at this point?
So for me as an old school fan, because I was a fan in the 80s when the curtain was fully up, even before Fightful, like my old wrestling site, I was interviewing people 25 years ago about the behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I interviewed Sherry Martel, then I interviewed a bunch of the WWE divas, even Vince Russo, like some 25 years ago, where we talked about all the behind the scenes stuff. Kayfabe, as I knew it as a kid, has not existed in probably 30 years. And so I'm used to it. I'm used to where we're at. And, you know, my fandom is different than it was. And the old school fan in me wishes that it was the way that it used to be, but that's never going to happen, especially in a digital world. But I agree with what Dave Koss said in that kayfabe's not dead. Kayfabe is different. And the example that he just gave of Tiffany and Charlotte, that's a perfect example. The Rock not being at WrestleMania and then, you know, doing Pat McAfee, and I watched it from my couch. And what's everybody talking about, Sean? Oh, Hunter and Rock are at odds. Yeah. That's the new kayfabe. The new kayfabe is some real life shit happened, and either it played out on TV or it didn't because of the real life shit that happened.
Sure.
And that's kind of where fandom is now from a kayfabe perspective.
So a lot of the producers that I spoke with were cautiously optimistic about how this would be portrayed on the show. And they were actually very surprised at how real some of it got. The Tiffany Charlotte thing got some people in the women's locker room being like, was that manufactured? Was that like pseudo planned for this show?
Because I think people are always going to think that, always, especially with this show around.
Yes. And I can tell you one situation that was sort of manufactured. When Charlotte won the Royal Rumble, the talent in the women's locker room were asked to come out and cheer for her. I had a number of people and before y'all source guessed, there were 30 people in that match.
Mhm.
They were asked to come out. I wasn't told they were like demanded or anything like that, but they were asked to. They weren't told it was for Netflix or
Mhm.
anything like that. But, and it wasn't like oh, well, Charlotte can go to hell. We would have never done that unless. It's
Yeah.
just they were asked to come out and do that. I haven't yet heard of other things like that. I did reach out to Cardona and say, hey, did they talk to you at all for this show? Or was that like no, we can't film him at all because he's
Right.
not here type of thing? Because to me, that would be a fascinating element of Chelsea Green's story would be, oh, well, she's also balancing a marriage of which she's gone all the time and he's gone all the time.
Yep.
How will that work? Obviously, they're not going to have Buddy Matthews in on Rhea's part, but
Yeah. Yeah.
as far as the new kayfabe, Jimmy, this is something that I have watched unfold for a very long time, and I can point to a number of times over the last year. And I mean, even 2 years, like they kept the CM Punk thing very, very secret because they did not want a me or a Dave or a Mike to find out about it. And that's a plot point in the show. And again, like I say, I don't hold that against them. They should be doing that. They should make it as difficult as possible for me to find out. If they feed me intentionally bad info, which doesn't happen, well, then they get called out for that. And I'm just going to put out who intentionally tries to mislead me. You can just not talk to me if that's the case. But over the last year or so, we saw the press conference. And this is what I think the new kayfabe is. I think it might just be lying publicly and then saying it's kayfabe, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
The Rock claimed that he always had a plan for John Cena to turn heel. And then as we see on this show, and as we found out later, no, The Rock did not have anything like that planned at Bad Blood. That was just not honest whatsoever.
Mm.
He
feels the need to kind of one up everybody, or yeah, that's kind of how
course
it is.
There are the new elements of the Seth Rollins thing. Like, well, he did have a minor injury, but we haven't heard that he's had surgery. We don't know what's going on. Is he about to cash in this weekend?
You know, one thing I thought was interesting. So,
that?
and again, I haven't seen this episode yet. I've only seen the clip because Twitter's loaded with clips. When Punk comes up with the finish for Elimination Chamber,
Yes,
and he's got Cena there, McIntyre's there, Damian Priest in there, and Rollins is there. And all we hear about is McIntyre doesn't like Punk and Rollins doesn't like Punk. And they're all there. And when Punk is laying out the finish, Rollins is nodding and smiling at him.
Yeah.
And I watched that and I thought to myself, okay, how much of this hate is manufactured? I mean, I'm sure there's a professional respect anyway.
There was certainly a lot of reality to Seth Rollins not liking CM Punk.
Sure. When he came back.
But also, if you go back and you look, and I think this is a very good example of Dave Koss and what he said. I think Seth Rollins was new kayfabing, where he legitimately does not like CM Punk. I don't think Becky really liked CM Punk. But when you go back and you look at that Nick Hausman interview that Denise and I were actually right behind the camera for when it happened before Punk left AEW, that was not Colby Lopez saying that.
Mm-hmm.
That was Seth Rollins with sunglasses and a big cowboy hat and in an outfit and going, ha, 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 stuff like that.
You do that well, Sean. That was pretty good.
Let me tell you.
Pretty good.
Let me tell you. But like, it was him saying that in a manner of which he really believed it, but he also was smart enough to go, I'm probably going to make money off of this one day.
I agree.
And that's where I think, honestly, a ton of talent is. I can tell you right now, there are talent working together this weekend at SummerSlam that I heard had some verbal issues during the filming of this Unreal show. I can't say who it is. I don't have a second source on that yet.
You mean issues with each other? You mean?
Yes. And they are working with each other on this SummerSlam show. And I'm interested to see how it goes. Not to say they have or haven't been in the ring with each other since then, but there's an awful lot to this. And I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the show because my intelligence wasn't insulted by the show, Jimmy. As somebody who does what I do, when The Rock goes out on a presser and lies to everybody at the expense of everybody who was telling the truth, about, yeah, there's always been a plan. No, there wasn't. No, there absolutely wasn't. And then Triple H gets in Michael Cole and Wade Barrett's ear when Alexa Bliss comes out and has the announcers lie to the audience because Dave Meltzer and Mike Johnson accurately reported her situation. Then I talked to her management. She goes out on interviews and confirms, oh, no, they were actually correct about that. That's an insult to my intelligence. There wasn't anything that I saw throughout this process where I felt like, well, they're lying. Now, the Charlotte being cheered for thing, I don't got a problem with that. Go show some respect to the woman who has worked here for 10 years and worked really, really hard and overcame an awful lot to get back here, had a very rough 2024. Hey, guys, why don't you all go out and show her some love? I got no problem with that at all.
And I thought Charlotte handled the post-Mania, I thought, really, really well, because she didn't like what Tiffany said. And, you know, Hunter said she was upset. Tiffany had to apologize, whatever. After the Mania match, Charlotte hugs Tiffany and she put Tiffany over. And when the camera said, what's next? Charlotte's like, I don't know. I guess I have to climb the mountain again. I thought she handled it very professionally, the whole thing.
Yeah, I do too. And what I try to remember, because I know Charlotte isn't like keen on a lot of media, is the same thing. Like if I get like a passive aggressive message from somebody else that I am close with, and I got to remember, like, some of y'all see how I react when people talk about me, especially things that aren't true. They've got 1,000 times more people every single week, every time they're on SmackDown, every time they're on Raw. And a lot of their stuff as a performer, people conflate that with the human being. And that kind of goes into the John Cena thing. My government name is John Cena. My performer name is John Cena. My acting name is John Cena. When he goes to the grocery store, he's John Cena. When Cody Rhodes goes to the grocery store, he's Cody Runnels, but if somebody comes up to him, they're going to say, you're Cody Rhodes.
100%. Yeah.
And that's something that you have to really look at. I thought the show was good. I really did. And I approached it cautiously because, again, I have witnessed and been subject to them stretching the truth in favor of just dunking on people like me because they want to create their own truth. And then they can blame it on kayfabe. They can call me afterwards and say, oh, well, you know, it was just a part of it. No, it wasn't. It was very pointed. Sometimes they love to highlight how little fans know, media knows, streamers know. You know what I mean? They like to highlight that. And that's okay, because you really don't understand how much you don't know until, one, somebody you know is working there, or two, you see something like this and you watch it come together. And I thought that was fascinating.
What did you think of, and again, I'm going based off clips I saw because I've only seen the 2 episodes, but what did you think of Hunter talking about, okay, we agreed to the Cena turn, now I got to make some calls. And now I want to reiterate, Hunter did not say I called Travis Scott before Cody or Cena. He said I talked to Travis Scott before Cody and Cena, because then he said Cody at some point called me back, kind of thing. Everybody online spinning it to say, oh, so Hunter actually called Travis Scott before he called Cody and Cena. That's not what he said. But regardless, what did you think of the fact that he felt the need to call Travis Scott? Because there have been reports now that there's kind of been a falling out between Travis Scott and WWE.
Yeah, I got more on that soon.
And in my opinion, they gave him way too much credit. Like, Travis Scott brought nothing aside from, you know, his fan base and whatever, but he brought nothing to the table. What did you think about the fact that he felt the need to call Travis Scott about the heel turn?
Well, Travis Scott was going to be part of it. And
I get it. I understand.
Travis Scott is like, I don't know how clued in you are regarding this. He's a major star, like major.
But
star.
What was he expecting? Was he expecting that Travis Scott was going to say, no, that doesn't work for me, you got to change it? What was he expecting?
Maybe. Listen, there have been certainly celebrities that were very concerned about how they were perpetuated on the show, or not the show, but WWE's show.
Right.
And Dave Koss says the scene at Chamber was my favorite scene, but I can't suspend disbelief on Rollins, on Rich Eisen saying he hates Punk anymore. You don't. We've seen it. The changes I'm emphasizing. Dave, I will say this, man. Like, there are people that I've been close with in wrestling, and they said, I will absolutely not work with this wrestler. And then 3 weeks later, I see them working with that wrestler. It happens all the time. And I mean all the time. WWE, AEW, anywhere. It happens all those places. Now, I do understand if it does affect your suspension of disbelief, because I could go on for hours about suspension of disbelief. Me and Mike Bailey had a good conversation, Jimmy, where I mentioned I've seen more disaster kicks in MMA than I've seen chin locks in MMA. Real fighting. You know what I mean? Like, so where you decide to suspend your disbelief is like completely up in the air. But Dave also says Charlotte's year in terms of public perception is wild. From Rumble to Mania to Tribune article to Bliss tag to Unreal, a roller coaster of perception.
100%.
What I always try to tell people, and listen, I do not know Charlotte outside of a couple interviews, but like Britt Baker and things like that. If you got criticized to the level of which they did, you would have your guard up too. If you had experienced the things that they did, you would probably have your guard up too. I've also said that about CM Punk. Is he moody? Is he abrasive? He can be. But I mean, that's not like a unanimous thing where they're like that all the time. If you got criticized to that level, it's very easy for people who don't deal with it to say, just ignore it. But when it becomes like such a public thing, like that Charlotte's booked herself or something like that. And let me tell you, women get it a lot worse than men. Women,
100%. Yeah.
Charlotte, Becky, Rhea, Mercedes, Britt. You see a lot of people acting like they booked themselves. And it is, It happens,
I mean, with Charlotte, I always felt like it wasn't so much that her guard was up, or it wasn't so much that she had this public persona like Punk did. With Charlotte, I felt like the crowd felt like she was the corporate choice and was always put over. And so they didn't want to cheer her because they felt like she was the corporate choice. For me as a fan, I felt for Charlotte when she came back from injury, and everybody knew that she had gone through divorce, and she comes back from injury. She goes on Raw after the Rumble. She's trying to have a heartfelt moment about coming back from injury, and the crowd shits all over her. I felt bad for her. Well,
she's a heel, man.
You're right, but I think she was trying to have a heartfelt moment because it was her first promo in like a year or whatever it was.
She was, but you also have to read the audience. She is the Yankees, man. Like that's what she is.
Yes.
She is the high salary cap thing. Like she is what. When you really think about it, I'd put this out there, Jimmy. If you exclude endorsements and any of that, and you're talking about what somebody's being paid to do on screen, she is one of the highest paid female athletes in the world. Like WNBA players are making like $75K to $200K. They're making a lot more in endorsements, but she's getting paid millions. So like people see that. People see the bookings. So you got to lean into that. Man, I would love to do an indie show in Kentucky and get cheered and all that stuff. But I know I'm going to go out there and get booed. So I'm not going to go out there and say,
is there any locale in which you're going to get like a hero's welcome, Sean?
Maysville, Kentucky. That might be it. If we did a show in Lexington, it might be tough. I went to Louisville and all they had to do is say from Lexington and I got booed.
Right.
But like, I'm not going to go into that and expect, well, you know what? I'm a Kentucky guy, so they're going to cheer me for that. Hell no. I knew they were going to boo me. You have to expect that. And I think she knows that. I'm sure that she wants that as well. But I think that what we're seeing now with her and Alexa, the character growth, the personal growth from that, a character who within the context of the show, Jimmy, has always been selfish and cared about personal accolades and individual accolades, saving Alexa and holding her like she cares about her, that goes a long way because there are so many fans, and I'm not doing the Vince Russo, they think it's real. There's a lot of people that they don't think wrestling's real, but they do conflate character with performer.
I think that the Players Tribune really did a lot too to humanize her. So I think between the article and teaming with Alexa, I do agree with that super chat that it's been a 180 in terms of the public perception of her. And Unreal to me, again, I've only seen the 2 episodes, but the way she handled WrestleMania adds to that even further.
We have a lot of people still talking about this. We've got, let's see here, Vin saying, I think you and Mike get lumped in with Dave from the WWE side. You are clear of what is opinion versus what is fact. Break factual news. That's why Dave is why the term dirt sheet came from, and he lives up to it with his opinion as fact reporting. Listen, I don't want to speak negatively on Dave, but it hasn't been that. I can tell you that my relationship, I got letters that WWE sent. They sent my wife flowers when she hurt her ankle. after we had a very contentious conversation, of which resulted in me saying, and I quote, "I don't fucking work for you." Then they sent my wife flowers when they found out why I was pretty pissed off. The French cheese thing, they sent that as an apology, but like that was a me and Mike thing. That was a me and a Mike thing. Mike is very, very good at what he does. Dave is very good at what he does as well. I will always be most confident in what I do. I feel like Fightful is the best at what we do, and that's no shot at them. But like, and again, WWE can run their content however they want. I do not need access from them, AEW, or any other company to do what we want, and that's what I like. That's what I prefer. Man, we still got a bunch of stuff. Vin, thank you so much. Do you foresee Unreal Season 2? Best parts were the women praying before Elimination Chamber and the men talking about how the match will go. Guess we can blame Gewurz for the Cody heel idea. So that's something that wasn't like really broached, was the Cody turning heel idea that was approached. And K775 says, was hoping we got more intel on the Rock post Elimination Chamber, but I guess that's for podcast for a couple of years. And
what do you think about The Rock saying that the final boss is like the greatest heel, or whatever his terminology was, his verbiage, the greatest heel, best heel ever in wrestling?
I think if he was on the show, he could be. I think if he was on the show, he could be one of the greatest heels of all time, right up there with Mr. McMahon and right up there with Hollywood Hogan.
Roddy Piper.
If he
Iron
showed,
Sheik, yeah, there's a bunch.
If he showed up, if he was there, and says at the end of the final episode of Unreal, Netflix flashed on screen, there will be more new episodes next year. Has that decision been made? I didn't see that, but I would be surprised if they didn't, based on the buzz associated with it. And it's probably a deal that's already worked into their rights fee deal. Now, the Rock thing was particularly interesting because I'll give you guys a little peek regarding what I do. I have been asking about the Rock's absence for months, and it is very difficult to get straight answers about that. And as you all see, there's a very close circle kept regarding what the Rock does. Now, I can't tell you the number of times, Jimmy, I've had people go, "You think they're going to let somebody like Ross Sapp know what the Rock does?" We've reported like 4 Rock returns. We've reported a ton of stuff like that. But there are some things naturally you can't get answers for. I was hopeful that they were kind of keeping it quiet just because of this, but this raised a lot more questions because there is no chance that they emerged from this and said, well, we're not going to have the Rock for anything.
I agree.
And then he's going to go on McAfee and be like, so this is why. And I called up Cody and Cena and said, my work here is done. His work here wasn't done, Jimmy.
I agree.
He just left.
Yeah, I agree. I never thought in my wrestling fandom that I would get to a point where I don't care if I see The Rock on WWE television. And I've honestly reached that point. I don't give a shit if The Rock returns to WWE television because I don't know. Things are just different. The fact that he's like kind of calling the shots and they got to run everything by him. And I don't know, man. It's like Cena. Now you can tell me how much of this is true to life because you know more than I do. Cena has always said, I do what they ask me to do. Like he's always said, I don't demand opponents. I don't demand finishes. I do what they ask me to do. Is that, from what you've heard, true about Cena? Has always been kind of like the company man, and he kind of does what they want him to do, kind of thing?
Not always. He'll give feedback, but
well, sure, of course,
yeah. There's like the Nexus thing where he didn't want to put them over, but largely, I mean, I don't hear of him politicking against a ton of people. I know that like there were some situations where, especially earlier in like Gabby Tuff, the former Tyler Rex, said that Cena came up and was like, don't use that. And it was like a burning hammer or something like that. It was too similar to Cena's move. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I don't hear of him creating a lot of issues.
But imagine if you're Hunter and with the Cena heel turn, I mean, obviously you got to have Cena on board because it's you know, a creative decision for him, but he had to talk to Nick Khan. He had to talk to The Rock. Cody, what's Cody going to say? I mean, he's going to do it and that's it. But he had to talk to Nick Khan. He had to talk to The Rock. And that's difficult, man.
It doesn't change Cody's life, so to speak.
Right. But Vince McMahon, when they were a private company, if Vince
another
wants
one-star review for us.
What's that?
There's another 1-star review for us, Jimmy. Because you left.
Vince McMahon.
Vince
But
McMahon.
when they were a private company, it was one man's decision, right?
Yeah.
He didn't have to call anybody. Sure, he would have had to convince Cena to do it in that
Mhm.
situation. But Hunter's calling friggin' half the universe. I kind of felt for him a little bit.
Well, no, he called the people that were involved. He called The Rock. He called all those people, and he said, "There's what we want to do." I don't think you don't tell all those people the day of. I'll say that.
No, I agree with that.
Josh Morgan, again, thank you so much. He never sends a super chat. He just rides or dies. What a guy. He says, RJ Suburb says, would love to see AEW do a parody of Unreal, a backstage segment, a couple minutes long, every Dynamite for a month. Give it to the Bucks or RJ.
No,
they're doing way better not mentioning WWE.
I agree. I agree.
Better.
Don't do that.
Way
You
better.
don't want to do that.
No. We've got a bunch of Humper chats. My God, guys. I love it. Love it. Mr. Straight Fire says, halfway into Unreal, really enjoy this show. Gives me so much respect for how a match is produced. Found it funny how the writer's room process is no different than you guys throwing us ideas to the wall and arguing them. That's ultimately how the ideas emerge. Like, that you hear a good idea, you think of a good idea, and you go with it. And
I even think about, sorry to cut you out, but I even think about it's lore now. Vince McMahon does the call with Shawn Michaels and Triple H. And what are we going to do about Brett? You know, we're going into Montreal and he doesn't want to drop the title. Same thing where they're spitballing. Maybe we do a DQ. Brett's like, maybe I'll drop it on Raw, like on Monday to Ken Shamrock. Same thing. It was basically the same thing until I think Hunter was the one that said, what if we make him? You know?
Yeah. We got someone saying, or Brooklyn Hathaway saying, I really enjoyed Unreal. The part where Punk lays out the end of Elimination Chamber was fascinating, hilarious how upset some people are. Do they think Punk and Seth just tell each other, go fuck yourself every time they're near each other? Yeah, that's
every time they get to the building. Every time they get to the building.
You know, I get a lot of that, the dirt sheet. You're ruining wrestling. Just ignore it. Just block me, mute me, delete me. I don't make you do any of this stuff. I don't post spoilers publicly. Go complain to one of the aggregators when they do that. I put things behind a paywall and with a spoiler warning on them. Otherwise, I'm usually reporting contract stuff, backstage stuff, and reactions. But there's a lot of that. Like, we shouldn't be seeing this. Then don't watch it. The same people when Toy Story 5 was announced, it said Toy Story 4 ruined it. Then don't watch it. Pretend it ended at 3. What are you doing?
What do you think about Punk's humility? So like after the Netflix debut, when Hunter went to see him and Punk was like, were you happy? Did you like it? You know what I mean? Do you think it's age or do you think it's, this is my last shot?
Age,
or a combination.
Last shot. He's grown as a human being. He had a really terrible experience somewhere else. And yeah.
I
and
feel
I'll
like,
tell you what. That showed me. I hope CM Punk is an agent or a producer or running something like that afterwards, because he said that and everybody was like, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like that's where he's headed if that's what he wants. I mean, he spent a lot of time in Orlando too, right? So it feels like that's what he wants. And it looks like he'd be great at it. Yeah. Looks like he'd be good in that spot.
He is a brilliant, creative guy. Regarding Seth smiling with Punk, all I know is KO kept that same energy on camera, sat there next to Punk, head down on his phone, completely ignoring his interaction with Jacob Fatu. Let me tell you guys, Kevin Owens is one of the most lovely yet real human beings you will meet. He is a great moral compass. And, you know, I don't know the nature of that interaction. They've done some stuff together, but he certainly wasn't happy when Punk was coming back. Maybe since then he's looked at things and said, all right, we're good now, but I don't know. We still have some super chats and Humper chats, not about Unreal. So let's go ahead and talk about these. Gimmick that doesn't work well to PC, but may work in better arenas regarding Blake Monroe.
No, well, they gave that as an example. They gave Blake as an example. So they're asking, what gimmicks do you think would work better?
Well, let me just say, well, first off, I always thought Elias was that. Elias was clearly one. But that Blake Monroe promo last night was so weird. LOL, you used to be fat.
Right.
What? It was just such a dumb, like, people were upset about the fat shaming element of it, and I'm like,
Cheap heat.
okay, saying, hey, really pretty jacked woman who became a millionaire from OnlyFans and had every wrestling company wanting her. You used to be chunky. LOL, you could never be a champion. Huh? Who wrote that? Beyond it being weird, it was dumb. It was dumb.
A lot of people are deadpanning Blake's run so far in NXT.
It hasn't been well thought out. Jimmy.
But I will say, you know, there are people that are already writing her off on social media. It's just not going to happen. I mean, she'll
be fine.
Yeah,
She'll
much
be fine.
talent and too much talent. $1 million look. It's never going to happen.
And that's James Stallings. I was trying to read yours as well. But like, as far as something that I think would work in a big arena, I think Wendy Chu, the sleepy gimmick that she did, I think that, like, especially had Chelsea Green not come along, she could have been really good as like the division's Santino. James said CM Punk had a bad experience caused by CM Punk himself. At times, sure. Mr. Straightfire says the pop that Dom got in AAA was insane.
Yes.
I like to rewatch pops from time to time. What are your guys' favorite pops? For me, nothing tops Austin doing the save when Foley won the title. Cena's Rumble return and recently Punk's return. I loved the Thunder Rosa pop that would happen everywhere for a couple of years. That was a favorite one for me. Jimmy, do you have any favorites?
Yep. So Austin obviously is a big one. That might be my favorite one when he ran in on Rock and McFoley. Ultimate Warrior SummerSlam 88 Honky Tonk Man. That one was awesome. I've seen that clip many, many times. Hogan slamming Andre. The crowd went ballistic. And like you talked about, the flashbulbs, which you don't get anymore. That was awesome. And also Brock Lesnar's return in 2012, I think it was. And Cena's in the ring, and Cena called out The Rock. Remember, he said, I want to congratulate The Rock because he beat him the night before. And then Brock's music hit. Crowd went nuts. There were grown men jumping up and down in the stands when his music hit. That one was pretty big. I want to mention Dom for a minute.
CM Punk's AEW. Yes. AEW and WWE.
Yes. Yes, for sure. Dominic Mysterio. So I saw the clip from the AAA show.
Performer.
I want to ask you this: over the last 2 years, right? So Dominic comes into WWE and he's the ultimate Nepo baby. He's there because of who his dad is. He didn't seem ready. He didn't seem comfortable. He's very obviously there because of who his dad is. Everybody was saying he should be in NXT, and he got fast tracked to the main roster. 2 years later, he has earned his spot. He's a feature attraction. That pop he got in Mexico was crazy. Can you think of another wrestler, male or female, who over a couple of years span went from being this person that no one really cares about, they're being pushed unnecessarily, they're there because of who they know, not because of who they are, to all of a sudden they are a feature attraction, they get reactions in every building? How many people can you think of that did that kind of a springboard so quickly? Like, what a run Dominic Mysterio.
I mean, he's made himself indispensable. He's made himself
incredible. Yes.
I mean, to a lighter degree in AEW, Britt Baker was getting booed out of buildings and people were like, oh, brother, that sucks. Then she turned heel and everything exploded. With Dominic, there's the old accentuate the positives, hide the negatives. He had no positives, so they just accentuated his negatives, and then he made them all positives through hard work. I really admire what he's done. I think he's been
incredible. And I really think, again, that social media and seeing the real life guy, how he's such a down-to-earth guy and kind of self-deprecating. And I think that's really helped him too. So what a run. He's just, I can't say enough good things about him. He's really had a hell of a run.
We still have plenty of super chats and humper chats. Get yours in. I'll tell you what'll help you guys. MyBookie AG. They have odds up right now for SummerSlam. Use that code FIGHTFUL. Get a $50 bonus on a $100 deposit or a $100 bonus on a $200 deposit. You can bet on anything, anytime, anywhere. You want to check out MyBookie AG. They've got a great support system. That way you can check out whatever you need to check out if you need to learn how to do it. They've got casino bonuses. They've got sports welcome bonuses. You can bet with Bitcoin. They have live casino, slot games, table games. We only want you to bet what you can, and please bet responsibly. Jimmy, I'm going to run through the SummerSlam card. who
Yep.
the favorite is, and you tell me who. My bookie AG has Randy Orton and Jelly Roll over Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. I think they're going with Logan or Jelly Roll as well.
1,000%. He needs to work on his offense. I respect
I
his
like the
training.
Boss Man Slam, though.
It was okay, but I mean, look, Logan Paul, I would almost put him in the Hall of Fame just for this. Like the fact that Jelly Roll's out there throwing like feather punches and Logan Paul's like flying across the ring. What work by Logan Paul in this program?
Yes.
He's been doing amazing.
I'm ready to see them lighten up on the celebrities now.
I agree. The last couple haven't been good. Obviously, Bad Bunny was great, and a couple of others were good. But between Travis Scott and Jelly Roll, yeah, they need to take a break.
I Show Speed Spot was good too. I like that.
Right.
Jade Cargill, a big favorite over Tiffany Stratton. I think they should have Tiffany Stratton win this.
I actually was thinking Tiffany Stratton as well. I know that Hunter likes Jade and they kind of have the rocket on her, but I was thinking Tiffany as well. Yeah.
CM Punk is a favorite over Gunther. Now, a lot of people think that Rollins will cash in right afterwards, but Rollins' whole thing has been, I never want you to be world champion again. So I think it's more likely that Rollins comes in and cashes in at the end, if that was a thing, and like
before the match is ended, before
it ends, because he has experience in doing that as well.
That would be the perfect finish. Yeah, I did not envision Punk walking out champion. So,
yeah,
either Gunther finds a way to retain it or Rollins cash in. That makes sense to me.
Alexa and Charlotte, favorites over Judgment Day.
Yeah.
I know it'd be easy for them to have Alexa and Charlotte win. I kind of wouldn't mind them chasing a little bit more. Like they lose. I mean, they're going to win, but I would like to see them lose. And then Alexa on SmackDown be like, well, it was a good try. I'm glad that you at least entertained this. And then Charlotte's like, no, we're not done. Like show that personal growth, but they're going to win.
Yeah. They already lost the last one. What was triple threat or 4-way, whatever it was. So yeah, they're a dream team, man. They're the closest thing to a dream team in the company right now. They're going to win.
They're really good. My bookie AG, code Fightful, has Roman Reigns, Jey Uso as monster favorites over Braun and Bronson. Yeah, Roman will win, then get speared through a barricade and take 2 months off.
At least Bronson got the shoes. Parting gift.
Sami Zayn, a favorite over Karrion Kross, who as of last week had not been approached for a new contract. Sami Zayn's winning this.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Naomi, a big favorite over Rhea Ripley and Io Sky in the my bookie AG odds. Naomi should win. She's doing the best work of her career right now.
And she just won the title. So I agree.
Yes.
Do you think that they were able to replicate the quality of Rhea, Io, and Bianca from Mania? Because that match was killer. Think they're able to replicate that?
But that's one of the best matches I've ever seen in my life. So that's no shot at Naomi or anything like that. So there are 3 matches that are very, very close in odds. Dominic Mysterio is a slight favorite over AJ, but they're both negative odds. Solo Sikoa is a slight favorite over Jacob Fatu, both at negative odds. Yes. Then Andrade and Rey Fenix, as we like to call them, the Lucha acquaintances, are the favorites, but they are plus odds, with Wyatt 6 and Fraxium following behind, then DIY, Street Profits, Motor City Machine Guns. I got Dominic.
Yep.
I got Jacob.
Yep, me too.
And I think the Wyatts.
I agree.
Actually,
on all 3.
I think the Wyatts will win as well.
I agree with all 3. So classic old school booking, right? The champion gets beat on TV first. Dominic took the pin from AJ on Raw. Dominic's winning that match. He's winning that match. Jacob is somebody that I think they're going to attach the Rocket to. So,
if they pushed him on up to the world title scene, I'd be completely fine with that.
Yes, and I think everybody would. Everybody would. So Jacob is the guy there. And I agree. The Wyatts, it doesn't feel like they've had the titles very long. So I think the Wyatts as well. I agree with you on all 3 of those.
Let's get to some super chats, humper chats, including some about a topic that is quite.
You didn't say Cena Cody.
Oh, Cena Cody. My God. Cody's favored. I got Cody winning.
Do you think that we see Bret Hart, Steve Austin, WrestleMania 11 double turn?
No, I think if they were going to turn Cody heel, they would have already earlier this year.
Okay. So you think that Cena loses, but goes out still the bad guy? Even though he's going to get cheered from the crowd, probably.
Yeah, I think Cody stays babyface, and I think that Cody turns Cena babyface as well.
Okay. Okay.
Jake from Windy City says, I see different currencies on these super chats. Make me wonder how big your international audience is outside the USA. What are your other top markets? Obviously, Canada.
UK.
I mean, UK, big
Yep.
thanks to Wrestle Talk for having us on so much. I mean,
India is usually top 10.
India, Indonesia, stuff like that is also pretty big. But yeah, Ireland, we do okay there. But Jimmy has the details on the demographics a little bit more. But the pop for Masawa, yeah, that's a good one. How would you book Moxley Hanger tonight? Clean as a sheet, middle of the ring, no bullshit. That's what I would do, Jimmy.
You think Mox is going to take time off? Like, I'm surprised they're doing this already. Aren't you surprised they're doing
I was
this
sitting
already?
there. I was trying to wonder, like, what are they going to do? Blood and guts to write off the Death Riders? And I'm like, where could they? Because of the venue sizes, they can't.
Are you surprised they're doing this match already?
No, you want to put, especially with the gap, they've got like another 4 weeks until Forbidden Door. And really, a lot of that is New Japan versus AEW. So you got to put on a big match there. You got to tell people to watch your show.
Okay. And this is probably like the bow on this one, right?
Sure. I would say so.
Yeah.
Here's one because I want to talk about Vince and Hogan real quick. They showed Vince in the montage on Monday. Do you think that's because Vince is so tied to Hogan? One-time thing. I do think it's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
They've lightened up on Brock a little bit because Brock was also in that boat. But like, this is more about Hogan than it was about Vince. Speaking of, they did the tributes to Hogan. Loved those tributes. Thought they did a really good job. And again, I'm able to rationalize that more than some of our audience, which, listen, they're going to pay homage to their biggest star ever. Brooke Hogan, man, you want to talk about somebody who sticks to her morals. She wrote herself out of Hogan's will because she did not like the way that things were being handled with him. Was not invited to Raw. I don't know why, but listen, I just want to say I got a lot of respect for her for how she handled a lot of that.
Yep.
But I don't have a lot of respect for Vince McMahon, Jimmy, who's hitting people in his $250,000 car going 80, 90 miles an hour, allegedly, has to appear in court. And since then, I've been approached by a number of former employees who said it's been a running joke for decades about how bad of a driver Vince is.
Yeah. One quick thing on Brooke before we talk about Vince. I just saw an interview with her. She worked as a waitress for 6 months at the JW Marriott in Nashville to make ends meet.
Yep.
I have nothing but respect for her. Nothing but respect for her. Like, you talk about leaving your ego at the door. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's on Brooke. Vince, Jim Ross has told stories about driving with Vince and Vince like going like 100 miles per hour. This is like decades ago, going like 100 miles per hour and like taking his hands off the wheel and farting in the car and all this shit because Vince loved toilet humor and stuff, right? None of this surprises me. There's two things about this story that surprised me. The first one is allegedly, this is according to Post Wrestling, allegedly after Vince hit the guardrail, some debris from the car went over the guardrail, struck a car on the other side, and the driver of that car was a WWE employee.
Well, has a name consistent with it. It certainly seems like it.
Yeah. That's why they said allegedly. Yeah. I mean, what are the odds of that? I realize they're in Connecticut and everything, but holy shit. Like that's crazy.
Some settlements, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that timing wise is Hogan died that morning and it hadn't been made public yet. And I questioned if Vince
I'm sure he knew.
Yes.
Vince probably knew.
And I wonder, not that I'm going to defend him driving like a maniac, but I wonder if that was on his mind and he wasn't paying attention. Because he's also.
I'll say this. Eric Bischoff, who I've spoken with a little bit, he said that he said this publicly, so it's not a big thing, that I guess Mike Johnson had heard and reached out to him first.
Yes.
So Mike had heard a little bit before. Plus, I mean, there were people on fucking TikTok posting him being taken out of his house. That's gross, man.
Yeah.
No matter how you feel about Hulk Hogan, filming somebody being taken out in a body bag and posting it on TikTok is sick.
I agree.
Sick, man.
And one other thing. So Vince, he has to appear before the Superior Court in Stamford, Connecticut. And the date is 2 days after his 80th birthday. 80th birthday on August 26th. So they might want to maybe pull his license. What do you think?
Yeah. I thought he was already 80.
No, he's going to be 80 August 24th, I believe.
Okay. Let's get to some more super chats, super chats. What happened to WWE Speed? I have asked about this. It's been absent the last couple of weeks. I have asked. Meet Normus says can confirm it's hotter than a hoochie coochie in DC area. But that's not anywhere near way down yonder, nor the chat. So it says hydrate, let's crank. After Hanger beats Mox, will John finally get a vacation? And then Darby versus Mox will be next for Mox, right? Yes, that's what I think is next. It'll be Darby and Moxley, and that's what I see happening. I don't think Mox is taking a vacation. I just don't see that happening. I think he's going to stay there and keep trying to build. It's so much of it is what happens next. And if you just have somebody disappear, well, we've got, let's see, what else do we have here? We've got Vin saying comic things. I'll pay for your question. Is the rumor true about the draft happening after SummerSlam? Well, first off, Vin, thank you. This is not aggregatable. I keep hearing talent speculate about drafts for months. There was one that said, well, we don't think a draft is even happening type of thing. The brand split means nothing now. Like they just have people go back and forth. So what's it matter? I am going to zero in on this and start asking people what they have heard about a draft this weekend. I'm going to ask people about it and see what I can learn, but I haven't heard anything. Jay Stone says a week ago, I asked about Mello. What are your thoughts on we want Mello trending a week later? This is a fumble, Jimmy. They have fumbled him so poorly, or so badly. A guy won the Andre, and that's about it. Like they had no creative plans for this guy. Their big creative plan was let's put him with the Miz.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. The same thing happened recently with Austin Theory, where he was getting "We Want Theory" chants. And so,
TV.
Carmelo, do you think it was because of his size? Because Hunter ran NXT and Carmelo was like Mr. Everything in NXT, and he gets to the main roster and they do nothing with him. Do you think that Hunter felt like he just wasn't big enough? Like, what do you think the reason is?
I don't know, but if it is the size, that is incredibly stupid. Make him seem special. Make him be like, oh my God, this guy is smaller, but he's that good. Well, there's a reason for that. He's one of the best performers in the world.
Right.
So, having a small size can be a benefit, Jimmy. It benefited Rey Mysterio, who was unbelievable.
Yeah, generational.
But I always loved Vince McMahon's explanation of Taz, which again, he didn't use Taz very well, but he called Taz ECW's sawed-off monster. And to me, there's something unique. I say Jonathan Gresham should be booked this way as well. A guy that you look like who's built like a fire hydrant and you can't beat him up. You can't do anything to him. He'll tie you in knots. He'll suplex you on your head. He's faster than you. He's more athletic than you. He's better than you. Make that special. Make that a thing.
What did you think of Theory and Waller splitting without a turn?
Stupid. Weird. They teased it for years. And then
like at least a year. Do you think that they did it this way because Theory was injured?
Injured. He wrestled on main event 2 weeks ago. So if they were already going to do this, like do something, figure out something. And I'm not saying that Theory is legit injured. I don't have all the details behind that, but do something. Thomas says, we got World's End announced. Have you heard about where Full Gear will be? Let me look at the AEW event schedule and see where they will be in November, if they've even got that announced. Because if they're doing Chicago, they're doing London, they're doing Toronto, that kind of opens up the whole country, Jimmy. Like it really does. They got St. Louis as well. I would go, first off, I'd go out west or go south. I would go somewhere warm.
Maybe back to Florida.
And yeah, I would go Orlando, Jacksonville, Miami is what I would do personally. Meat Norma says taking a break from meat prep to ask about AEW meat, this time skirt steak. The stat will end with a tag run. Bane should take the TNT title from CEO, also wear the Renegades. My biggest evidence, besides everything else that I've had about Mercedes not having creative control, is that the Renegades aren't on TV, Jimmy. The Renegade sisters have been just not used, while Mercedes has wanted them to be like her heaters, her team. I think the answer to who takes it off Mercedes is who will benefit from it the most. Stat and Willow does end with a tag title run, but also a world title run for either one of them would be nice.
And Tony
Right.
actually just did an interview with Iridian on the radio
Mhm.
and said that they're putting
Shout out
women.
Iridian.
What's that?
Shout out to Iridian, our collision post.
He said they're putting women's tag titles on hold because of injuries or something, because too many injuries to certain performers. So he just said that.
Yeah, so I do think that happens, but I think that there will also be big moments for them as world champions. And this crazy man, Dave Cost, as we wrap up, we got 2 more. He says, last thing about Unreal. One random takeaway was I was completely unaware of the importance of Ed Koskey. His creative or idea creations impressed me immensely as how he was portrayed. What do you know about him? He's been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
Been around for a very, very long time. He's been there.
I think Gewurz was still there when he was there.
Yeah, because Gewurz was still there until like what, 2012, something like that.
Yeah.
Ed Koskey's been there for like 25 years.
Yeah, a long time. Yeah.
He was started as a production assistant, and I'm talking like the tail end of Attitude Era. He became a writer for a number of years. He became senior writer after that. That's the way this ladder works. Then he became a lead writer. Then he became a VP of creative writing. And then now he's like an SVP of the company. So he went from PA writer, senior writer, lead writer, VP of creative to senior vice president. Like that is a true example of making your way up through the company as a production assistant, Jimmy.
Good for him. Good for him.
Love that. Love that. And I mean, listen, that happens in our line of work too. Like Jeremy started off covering UFC post-show pressers, and now as the director of content for our website. Like that's what you want to see. I'm shocked at how uneven these nights are. Night 2 is one of the best cards the company can do.
True.
All other tags other than TLC on night 1. All the stip matches night 2. Very strange. What do you make of this, Jimmy? Because it is very imbalanced.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that WWE thinks, okay, on night 1 we've got Jelly Roll, so we've got like the celebrity. On night 1 we got Punk and Gunther. On night 1 we got Roman Reigns. And on night 1 we've got Charlotte and Alexa. So I think that they're thinking we got lots of star power. But night 2, so night 2 we got the street fight with Cena and Cody. We got the triple threat with Rhea, Io, Naomi, which is probably going to crush. Then they got the no DQ, no count out women's match with Becky and Lyra, which is probably going to go off the rails. Then they got the cage match with Solo and Jacob. Then they got Dominic and AJ, and the 6-pack TLC, which is probably going to be nuts. So all of that is on night 2. Night 2 is definitely a step above night 1, but like I said, they probably are looking at the names involved and think that they have it fairly balanced. I mean, look at how much media Jelly Roll is doing, and Orton and Drew, and like they're doing maybe more mainstream than anybody else for the show.
And sources I spoke to do expect Drew back for that show, and I'm supposed to be back for that show. I will be doing reviews Saturday and Sunday night. Of course, FightfulSelect.com will have bonus reviews. We're gonna have scoops, threads. We're gonna have a lot. Go subscribe, $5.99 a month, but also here on YouTube. Jimmy, we had a couple things. I do want to plug a couple things before these last 2 super chats. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We are out there debunking fake news on Facebook to a ridiculous degree. It is very fun because it's a wild west out there. But here on Fightful, we have an interview with Shaza McKenzie. We had Mike Straw doing a Fightful Presents video on how the Spirit Squad ended up working. Lots of cool stuff, lots of ways to check us out. But Bear Hudson says, what do you think Cardi B's role will be on screen? Is she only doing one night or both? Thank you guys for helping me with my dad. Well, first off, thank you for sending your super chat in. I think she'll be on both nights. I think she'll end up pushing down Chelsea Green or something like that, Jimmy. That's what I think. She'll end up beating up a pro wrestler is what'll happen.
I don't give 2 shits about Cardi B. And so I don't care what Cardi B does. I did see that Chelsea was, they were kind of having some fun on Twitter, so something might happen, but I just don't give 2 shits about Cardi B.
Chelsea is going to be in the, it should be Chelsea because she's featured on Unreal and they can cross promote.
Right.
Tin Ruza says, hope Gail goes to AEW and not just settle for the Fed. Even if I don't know if she has an AEW offer. She should. Both companies should be trying to get her without a doubt. Gail is a brilliant woman. And, we got Mr. Straightfire saying, Sean, this might be a bit personal, but how crazy How does your crazy ADHD manifest in both work and daily life? From the outside, it's hard to tell. Jimmy, do you notice it in the way that Sean works?
Oh,
Can
yeah.
you tell? Can you tell that your boy is raw dogging ADHD without medication since high school?
Yeah. So my son has ADHD, and you remind me of him in terms of like,
There you go.
sometimes Sean goes from 0 to 60 like this sometimes. And
That is, I will say this. My fuse has gotten much longer, but I mean, that's also just how I was raised. Like if somebody's like getting a little too crazy, like y'all know how I act.
have you
That's
ever
it.
heard have you ever heard of neurofeedback? Have we talked about this before? Have you heard of
No, I don't
neurofeedback?
think so.
We're
But
talking
I
about
will say, I do want to say it. This helps me with work a lot. Like we have a new trailer on our Fightful channel. I wrote, directed, set up the clips, and sent them to our producer on a whim within like 40 minutes during a very, very busy week last week. And it's already got us like 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. Like that type of thing, it benefits. Being able to manage a lot of different conversations, it really benefits me. I can tell you some of the detriments. I answer things like if I get a message from Kate, for example, Kate knows by now if I've got a business question, go to Slack for it as opposed to Twitter DMs or text. I will answer it in my brain and think that I have answered it to that person sometimes. With Jimmy, it's not as much of a problem because Jimmy and I speak in a limited manner, but there are an awful lot of times where I have like planned something out and I show up for it and I'm like, I never answered that person. They have no idea that I'm ready to do this. So that is definitely a detriment.
Yeah. I mean, you've definitely calmed down. Like when we first started working together, I'm being very, very honest. Sean would get mad at me for nothing sometimes, and I'd be sitting here going,
I
"What
wouldn't
the
say
fuck
mad.
did I do?"
I'd get frustrated.
Yeah, but you have calmed down, but I've also learned kind of how to deal with you and dealing with my
To
son.
deal with me.
Well, like you deal with different people in different ways, and
Sure.
I've learned what makes you tick, and like I said, dealing with my son has helped too. And yeah, no, things have been good. I think things have been good. So neurofeedback,
I mean, anybody that thinks that they're like, you wouldn't talk to anybody else. Like, listen, I talk to people how I talk to people. That's it. And if you're respectful to me, I'll be respectful to you. And every time me and Jimmy have had one of those conversations that end like that, that end up like that, they end up well because Jimmy treats me with common courtesy and respect and has repeatedly reinforced that I have made a good decision, not just joining here, but staying here, like over and over again. But
Sean has told me about conversations. He's told me about conversations that he's had with like names in wrestling. And he's told me about things that he said to some names in wrestling. And it just doesn't surprise me. It just doesn't.
I mean, I can share this with you guys. There was a PR person that said that that I am probably the only person that has told the 3 most powerful people in wrestling to fuck themselves and they ended up liking me more afterwards. So like if that's the type of energy I'm brought, that's the type of energy I'll reciprocate. I don't need them. I like maintaining good relationships with them, but I do not need any of those people to do what I do. I had a conversation with a top wrestler who made some interesting comments like, oh, well, you and other people are bought out by. I go, no, motherfucker, we're not. But I can tell you who absolutely has been in the past. And Jimmy, the name I tell you when I tell you off air will surprise you. But I highlighted, I'm like, listen, you can say there's a lot of stuff that I'll let slide. That ain't the case. I am paid by Fightful, and that's it. The wrestling companies I wrestle for don't pay me. If they don't make a donation to a charitable cause, then there's no money changing hands. They're not getting favorable coverage in that regard. But that's completely off the base of ADHD. But I can tell you that our expansion this year certainly was an on the whim ADHD decision, spurned by the fact that I found out Sportskeeda makes like 30 grand off their Facebook, Jimmy, a month. And I said, oh, well, we need to get our Facebook monetized, which we still haven't got. But then I was like, well, why don't we expand our whole social team? Why don't we have Rob Wilkins do our shorts instead of having somebody outside? Why don't we have Rob Wilkins do our thumbnails? Kyler should do more clips for scraps, and they should work together. We should add Kate to our social media team, and we should be doing graphics like ESPN does as well if we're going to be a professional outlet. It's certainly adjusted how I act on social media, but I was also like, let's expand our Instagram and center that more. Let's expand our TikTok. Let's start Fightful Espanol. And all that was with the price increase with Fightful Select as well. But like, there were a lot of things that I was, and let's do commercials. Let's do Fightful Presents. Let me do Fightful Studios videos. We threw like 10 things out there to see which one stuck all at the same time. So that was definitely an ADHD decision. But there you go. There you go. Jimmy, what do you got this week?
Same old shit happening in my life that I can't think of much else going on, but I have one more question for you before we wrap up.
Sure.
So John Cena just hit 100 days as WWE champion.
Mm-hmm.
What moments from this reign can you look back on so far and say, man, that was really good?
The reign?
Yeah, from the time that he won the title, and you can even just talk about from the heel turn, because the heel turn was a month before. So from that time on, what moments can you look at and say that was really good?
Him and Punk facing off.
You mean the pipe bomb, or do you mean the Elimination Chamber, or the match they had? Like, what are you talking about?
The match, just the general, them rubbing up against each other. The match with Truth sucked. The tag match with Logan Paul wasn't very good. The first match with Truth sucked as well. The Orton match was nice to see. It was a playing the hits thing. It was him seeing his former foes. I liked that. Sentimentally, I liked him coming back to Kentucky one last time and getting that ovation, because we don't have a robust Kentucky wrestling scene. And once you are a part of that wrestling scene, you remain a part of it. Fun fact, Jimmy, on Unreal, he said that the knee pads he wears are his OVW knee pads from 2001.
And he's wearing them the whole time?
He's got one pair left and they're ripping apart.
Yes. Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Kmart jorts that he wears for all of his matches as well.
Right.
What's the point of this question other than to trash his reign? We can't be honest here. What are we doing?
Yeah,
what's the point of this question but to trash his question then?
It hasn't been good. It hasn't been good. And there's one thing actually that Hunter said, because there's a reason I'm asking. There's something Hunter said on the Unreal documentary. He said that when he went to John about turning heel, he said that he told John, this is going to change everything in your life. It's going to impact your movies. It's going to impact your PR schedule. And here we are now, months later, nothing changed.
Nothing.
Like the real life good guy Cena, this whole time that he's been a heel on WWE television, the real life Cena is doing television interviews. He's doing movie premieres. He's doing conventions. And I think one of the reasons that this heel turn has not worked is because of that, because we see him, the regular
I think it's
nice
the
guy
Rock
Cena.
pieced out is what I think. I think that the Rock cut the legs out from underneath this thing. And again, that's not a report. That's a hunch. I think that the Rock calling up those two and saying, my work here is done, when his work there was absolutely not done.
Yeah.
Cut the leg out from underneath that. And I feel bad. One of the things that I did like that people didn't, John Cena cut a You People promo, and I hate You People promos. He is the one person that can cut a You People promo, and it makes sense.
Yeah, most of it hasn't been good. I mean, I like the black screen entrance, video entrance and stuff like that, but
yeah,
most of it hasn't been good.
Let me bury this comment. Fightful. Y'all fucked up for that Charlotte post. All that for $25. We know rent due. Hey, dumbass, it's $5.99 a month. And we posted a graphic about it. Rent's due every month, dummy. Go get a job. Learn what it's about. I'm so sorry you all do not want us reporting the truth when it doesn't jive with what you all want to hear. Go $25. $25. You get half a year for that. What are you talking about?
I would love it if I could charge $25.
It would be phenomenal.
Sean would love it if we could charge $25.
Phenomenal if we get away with charging $25 to libs. Truth. Let me know how your wrestling news site's going, buddy. Let me know how your territory's going.
Let me say this quick to kind of change the subject a bit. Somebody in the chat said somebody in the chat said I'd like to know more about neurofeedback. I'm not going to spend 10 minutes talking about it. I'm not going to spend 10 minutes talking about it, but I'll say quickly, it's brain training. You go for sessions, you have to wear kind of a cap on your head. It's got electrodes on it. I have a friend in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, who did it for his 11-year-old son, and they said it made a massive difference with his focus. And so we are just starting it out with my kid who's 8. And so we'll see.
Oh, okay.
We'll see if it does anything.
Well, by the way, I just checked out this gentleman's profile. He's tweeting a bunch of Aiden Ross stuff. So I shouldn't have even given him the breath.
Who the hell is that? Is that that Twitch guy?
Nah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't follow a lot of that shit. I don't follow a lot of that stuff. Like Kai Cenat, when he was on wrestling TV, I was like, okay, I know who he is, but I don't think I've seen anything outside of like a 10-second clip on Twitter. I don't follow any of this shit.
Well, guys, FightfulSelect.com is only $5.99, even if this gentleman can't afford it. And there's nothing wrong with that.
But if he wants to pay $25, I'm fully open to it.
Yes, you are able to subscribe to that. But wrestling news, additional podcasts, all that good stuff. We spent a lot of time talking about Unreal. Just check out what we're doing. We would really appreciate it. Until next time, my friends, we're out.